Okay, before we start recording, we are going to check our recording level. And if the Zoom toolbar gets out of the way, we can do that. Click to start monitoring. You can click that top bar there to see your vocal levels. I'm assuming this is for a podcast and for speech. So you want to get your audio levels up to about -12 to -18 is a good range. And if they are not, then change your microphone or go look at your Windows settings to make sure you're getting enough volume. We can play around with that later, but it's always good to start at a good volume. When you're recording with instruments, apparently you use a little bit less because the peaks are higher. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and record. We push the red button. I leave a little bit of a gap there, and then I start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Whoops, I left off 5. Okay, stop. Now, I can either go on recording and re-record what I just said and start all over again, because at the end you can just cut that whole first part off. So you can just take your cursor and drag it over the whole thing and cut it, or you can take your cursor and there's a thing up here for trimming the audio outside the selection. So you can use either one. I always just drag and cut because that's what I'm used to. But let's find the part where the 5 was and see if we can insert a 5. I hit Shift and I roll my middle mouse button to go back on my timeline. I click where I want to start and I hit my spacebar key. I start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Okay, here is where I want to insert 5. I click at that point between the 4 and the 6. I go up to Edit. I go to Clip Boundaries and Split. Okay. I go to Tracks. I'm going to add another track down below this one to record that 6. Just a little sandwich that's going to go in that spot. So I'm going to say Tracks, Add New. And this is a stereo track because there's 2 showing, so stereo track. And I am going to click on that spot. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute my top track. So go over to Mute on the left-hand side, hit Mute, go back, click again on that spot right where your split bar is. Okay, it doesn't have to be exactly there. I'll show you why in a second. And record 6. Wait a minute, I made a mistake. I better drag that out and cut it, Control X. I'm going to start recording again, hit the record button, 5. I'm going to stop. Okay. Now, I want to get rid of all that stuff that I said I'm going to stop. So I click after the 5. I drag my cursor and I delete it, Control X. Okay, now, remember where the 5 was? Oops, I've got it muted. I better unmute that. Okay, remember where the 5 was supposed to go right here? Well, look, now it's my 5 down below is a little bit to the side there. So I want to move that top track where I split it. I'm going to move this track to the right and insert my other track there. There's a thing called time shift tool. They should have just called it move track. But anyway, time shift. I'm going to drag this track to the right. And guess what? I can go back to, you know what? Let's just leave it like that. I'm going to drag it, and put it kind of toward the end. Let's leave it like this. See what happens. This will now go to, I'm going to, once I move my time tracks, get rid of that time track double arrows, go back to selection, okay? Because you just don't want to start moving your tracks around. Okay, selection, I click on my upper track. I'm going to play it and see what happens. I have no idea, honestly. I start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that worked. Okay, now I can trim it off a little bit and just get rid of that silence. So I'll just trim that back a little bit and delete that, Control X. And then I'll go back and just move that top track again. Clicked on the double arrows, move that top track till the upper yellow lines, till the yellow bar shows up. You'll see when it's totally aligned, the yellow bar shows up. Go back, get off of that moving track thing. It really can drive you crazy, okay? All right,